Hello friends, myself Ravi here, and today my Viva topic is iterative statements. So mainly there are three types of iterative statements or looping statements. So which are they? While loop, do while loop, and for loop. But Java support another one more looping statement or iterative statement, that is for each. For each is used in the array at array classes or array variables, etc. So we will talk about the mainly use the three iterative statements or three loops, that are while loop, do while, and for. So we will start with while loop. While loop is also called as entry control statements or entry control loop. Means when the execution or the while loop is written in the code, it will first check the condition. If the condition is true, then the statement will execute it. If the condition is false, then there is no chance to execute the statements. So it is called as entry control loop. The syntax of while is very simple, and the syntax is like that. The while keyword, after that opening and closing parenthesis, in which we write conditions. After that, the opening and closing curly brace, in which we write our executable statements, which will execute after the condition, or if the condition is true, the code have to execute. So the process of while loop is like that. We have to declare or initialize the variable at the start. After that, we have to write condition in the opening and closing parenthesis. After that, the code will execute. After the code, we have to give increment or decrement operator or some increment or decrement conditions, because if we didn't write increment or decrement condition, the loop will turn into infinite loop, and which will may affect our output. So we have to give increment or decrement to end our loop, or to execute the number of time we have to execute the statements. So after while loop, we will go to for loop. So for loop is also called as entry control loop. As I told you, in while loop, the condition is checked before execution of the statements. So as same as for loop, the syntax of for is different from while. The syntax is for is like for keyword, after that opening and closing closing parenthesis, in which we initialize the variable. We write the conditions, and after that we write increment and decrement of the looping or the operators or the variables. So after that, we write the syntax or the code inside the opening and closing curly braces. So the execution of while loop is like that. There is the initialization of the variable is done. After that, it will check the condition. If the condition is true, then the execution of the statement is done. After that, the transfer to the top at the for keyword, and it will increment the value or increment or decrement the value. After that, it will check the condition again. If the condition is true, and it will execute the statement inside it. This process will continue till our condition become false. So this is the method of for the detail about for loop. We will now shift toward do while loop. So do while loop is exit control loop. As I told you about while and for loop, which are entry control loop. In do while loop, first the execution of the statement is done. After that, the increment or decrement is done. After that, at last, the condition is checked. If the condition is true, then the loop will execute again. So the syntax of do while is like that. We have to write do condition at the start. After that, opening and closing parenthesis, in which we will write our executable statements. After that, the increment or decrement is done. After and the closing parenthesis. After the while keyword, we have to write while keyword, an opening and closing bracket, in which the condition is written, and the semicolon. The process is like that. It will execute the first statement, whether the condition is true or false, it doesn't matter. After that execution, the increment or decrement is done. So after that, the execution is come outside the loop. After outside the opening and closing bracket, the condition will check the, if the condition become true, the execution will go to top the and the statement will execute again. It will execute the first condition whether it is true or false, and after that it will depend on the conditions which whether it is true or false. If the condition is true, then the execution will continue till it become false. So at last I will told you when to use the loops, the three loops, when we have to use these loops. So the while loop is used when we don't know how much time we have to execute the statements. So in which we don't know the end point. We know the starting and the conditions, but we don't know the end point. At that situation, we have to use while loop. The for loop is used when we know the we know the starting point, the end point, and the end point. So in these cases, we have to use for loop, and the do while loop, the last loop, we have to use when we need to execute at least one time our statement. We have to execute our statement at least one time, whether the condition is true or false, it doesn't matter. So with this I would like to finish my today's video, and I would like to say thank you.